Hello, my friend, and welcome to Security Insecure, hosted by me, Johnny Seifert. This is the celebrity mental health podcast that I say it's okay to not be okay. And if you have the same match to me, whether you're listening or watching, click that 5-star rating, leave a review, and click that subscribe button. And let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. Now, let me tell you about my guest today. Now, my guest today is part of the Security Insecure book club, and that's where I take someone's book and I look at the mental health themes behind the quotes of the book. And today, my guest is a content creator who loves an ice tray restock, a chemistry teacher, the biggest Kardashian fan, and the king of the Harry Potter blanket. His book, I'm Rich, You're Poor, is out to buy now, published by DK Penguin Random House. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome to Security Insecure. It's Shabazz Ali, or as you know him, ShabazSays. Hello, Shabazz.
Hiya, you're right. Thanks for having
I'm all
me.
right, mate. Well, no, thanking me. You don't need to thank me. You've got 4 million followers. I mean, to get a bit of your time, it means everything to me, my friend.
It's an honor to be on your podcast.
Why is that though? Because if we look at your career, we take a step back and we go, right, he's a teacher, so he's wanting to give back to kids. He wants to help kids, the next generation, get into
Mm,
science. You have got your content stuff that you're doing on Instagram and TikTok, where you've got nearly 4 million followers. You're wanting to give back with humor. You do a book because you want to educate people in the do's and don'ts of social media. You do podcasts because you want to further that voice. What is it about you, Shabazz, that gives you that voice that thinks, I have a role in this world to make a difference? So rather than me taking from the world, I need to keep giving back to them.
that's such a good question. Do you know what? In all honesty, I've always felt like that growing up. And I think this is why I went into being a teacher. I think it's naturally the role I fell into as a teacher because I've always wanted to do more with this world. And I've always felt so suffocated by not being able to do enough. And sometimes it's really detrimental to my own mental health because I'm constantly burdened by like wanting to do so much for everyone. It's just naturally who I am. Like I do that with friends. I think I've always done that with family, relationships. Anytime I'm in some situation, I always say I give like 110% instead of 100%. I always give that extra, go that extra mile. Even when I worked in like customer service jobs, I was always like that person that really wanted to make other people feel better. I think it comes from a place of like whenever you've not felt so good about yourself, you want other people to feel better about the world and stuff. Like I think that's probably where it comes from.
It's the deflect mechanism that, like you say, if you're going the extra miles because you were never given that 1 mile, so you go the mile and then you do the one on top because
Yeah.
you know what it feels like to not have it. And then that's where we all become people pleasers and we get paranoid that we're not doing enough or we're kind of saying the wrong thing because we think of the interpretations that we have based on our own boundaries and triggers that we've got from our past.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with me, especially when it comes to social media, I think I always reflect from my own experiences. As a teacher, I've always tried to strive to be the teacher that I needed when I was growing up. So, I was bullied in high school. So I've always thought it would have been lovely to have a teacher like me that just would have been someone that you could have gone to. And I always like strive to be that kind of teacher. And on social media, I strive to be the person I would want to have been when I was coming up. So like when I was, going on social media and I was trying to make it, do my own thing, I just needed people just to listen. I always knew that like I was funny in a way, like, without sounding conceited, but I always knew that I had a point of view. I just needed other people just to hear it. And it just took like someone with a big platform to give me that opportunity to like share what I had to say. Or, like if I had my podcast and I was, coming up in the space, I would want someone with quite a big following to promote it, just to put eyes on it. Because I know what I'm producing is good enough. I just need people to have eyes on it. And content creators don't do that enough. They don't, somebody will message me saying, hi, I've just got a small business. Do you mind shouting it out? Absolutely. I'll stick it on my story. I'll, put eyes on it. It's not going to take anything out of my day. I think I always strive to be the person that I probably never had.
When we look at the acknowledgements for your book, I'm Rich, You're Poor, Katie Piper, Dr. Ranj, Fats Timbo, all been on Security and Secure in the past. Go check it out in the library right now.
Yeah.
Also, Laura Whitmore as well, Davina McCall. What does it mean to you then? So the fact that you've got these content creators that you're helping the small business out, when you've got these household names that everyone knows, and yet they're talking about you, they want to put their name to your book. What does that do to your sense of belonging?
To be fair, it's lovely. Don't get me wrong, it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely to have people who I've watched or I've, like you said, household names or people that I've seen do their own bit, acknowledge that the book is great. I think the reason why people feel that way is because the content lends itself to a lot of people. It is one of those things that content of the book is very universal, and I think everybody's feeling that pinch at some point. So I think whatever you are or whatever your world is, you're still seeing that in any industry. You're still seeing people showing off, and you're still feeling bad about social media. So I think that's why people relate with it so much, is because they kind of just think, I get that. And it doesn't really matter whether you're Davina or whether you're, you know, David from the corner shop. Everybody feels that pressure from social media or feels that pressure from the world to be better.
That's what's really interesting is there is someone like yourself and GK Barry is a lot of the traditional media outlets, traditional media presenters are turning to you guys now for that reach because they see the value of social media numbers
Mhm.
versus just being traditional. And so there's this weird back and forth relationship. And if we reflect on what it's like for you as a school teacher, how do you find that balance between being a school teacher and being Mr.
Mm.
Ali, the science teacher, and therefore going, right, I'm Mr. Ali, the science teacher, but I'm also ShabazSays. And therefore, the kids, they look up to me, they see me as a social media star, but also there's a line there of professionalism and a line of going, well, I can't cross that line that they should be following me, and I can't be too open with my career because it crosses that line into a bit of dangerous territory there.
Do you know what? It's always been really easy with me. Like I think there's a certain performance that you do when you're a teacher anyway. Like, you know, what I'm like in my with my friends and what I'm like in the staff room is very different to what I'm in the classroom. So equally, it's the same thing. I think there's certain things that you will already leave out. I think we all perform. We are all different people for different people. So, you know, with our parents, we're a different version, whereas with my friends, I'm a very different version. So I think it's one of those things where I know where to draw the line on how what is appropriate. I mean, I'm a science teacher, so you best believe that when I get in that lesson, don't get me wrong, the kids want to talk about it, but for me, I always say to them after the lesson, there's plenty of time, lunchtime, break time, see me in the corridors, come and have a chat. You know, some of them might want careers in this. Some of them might want to, you know, just be inspired. So it is one of those things where they can come and talk to me about it if that's what they want to do. But in the classroom, when it's classroom time, that hour slot that I've been given is to go through the curriculum and try getting in. Don't get me wrong, there are moments where we'll have ad libs or we'll have moments, you know, where you can have a personality, and I'm entitled to have a personality. It's usually where, like, if I say something like, "Oh, I beg your pardon," and they're like, "Ah, you said it," or then you just see that smirk on their face, or like if I say, "Oh, just have a day off," and you'll see that kind of grin because they're like, "Oh my God, he said the line." I think I've been doing it long enough to kind of know where Shabazz says ends and Shabazz Ali starts, if that makes sense, or Mr. Ali starts.
But is there that line of going, I can't be controversial online, for example, because it actually
Yeah.
could affect my career? And I know, the videos that you do are very light-hearted and it's very much about wealth.
Mhm.
But let's say you started getting into political row. Let's say you started getting into a racism row, whatever it is. There's that line there of going, yes, in the public world, freedom of speech, you're not censored. However, there does come a censorship and a sense of responsibility when you are a teacher, for example. I imagine you can't swear by accident on a video or on a podcast because that
Mm.
reflects on you, which reflects on the school. And at the end of the day, the school have a
Yeah.
reputation to uphold as much as it's amazing to have you there as a teacher.
No, absolutely, and I do that. That don't get me wrong. It's I'm very conscious about it. You know, I used to do YouTube a while ago, and my old YouTube channel was very harsh. Like a lot of swearing, a lot of adult themes, a lot of non-teacher friendly content. But when I became a teacher, I just took the conscious effort to know what's appropriate and what's not. And the thing is, it's not that difficult because I don't swear in the classroom, or I don't, you know, I don't use. I like I said to you, it's just performance and practice on performing. So I know when to shut it off. Like if me and you are having this conversation outside of like recording a podcast, absolutely, there's a different vibe, I suppose, or I can have different conversations. But you're right, it's a responsibility, and it's not me being fake. It's just having a responsibility to younger people. So my political opinion is never. I do state, but you know, opinions about, and in the within the book, I do talk about, you know, the Tory party or you know Conservatives, whatever. Like I do talk about cost of living and politics. It's just it's done in a way where it's not influencing someone else. It's just giving my opinion. There's a difference with being an influential person in influencing young people's minds and just having an opinion, and that's entitled. We're entitled to do that. I think there's a lot of pressures on teachers to just silence ourselves and not be human beings. I think that this country really doesn't value teachers, and I think the government themselves don't really. They want teachers just to be like, even the Department of Education, I'm not gonna lie, are very like, you should see the standards where it's like, don't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's like, I'm still a human being at the end of the day. Like, it's happened. Don't get me wrong. It's happened in a classroom where I've accidentally swore. Like, I've gone. I've started to swear, and the kids have kind of acknowledged it, but they've kind of gone, "He's a human being," you know what I mean? It's gonna happen, but I've gone, "Listen, let's move on." I've said it by accident, I've effed by accident, I've F-bombed by accident, but I'm a human being, it's gonna happen, and I've kind of like apologized and gone, "Oh, I'm really sorry, 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 sorry. Let's not dwell on it." And you kind of, and they're mature enough to just sort of move on from it because they know we all do. We all go out on nights out. We all go and do all this. We're human beings. So
I love that your kids are so mature. I remember when my teachers would swear, I would find it the funniest thing in the world. My shoulders would go up, I'd be crying of laughter because it's that moment of like,
yeah,
oh, they broke the fourth wall a little
no, they
bit,
do,
and
they
you know,
do. Yeah, no, absolutely, they do. Don't get me wrong. They will fully be like, "Oh my God, you've done it, you've done it." But it was one of those where like they are. I think it's just a relationship I built with these pupils. I think after a while, you really, really do know these kids, and they really do know you. So, um, respect goes both ways. So I like respect them and they respect me. I would like to think. Um, Sometimes they push it, but they don't get told when they push it. And I think those ones that do push it know they're pushing it. And with me, I'm not one of those teachers that like really is like, the minute you do something wrong, I will give you a chance. I will give you a chance, and then you take the mic, and you will know that you've pushed it. And that's when they know, okay, I'm gonna back off because I pushed it too much. Like, I've pushed him, I pushed the good teacher. So
Shabazz Ali, your book "I'm Rich, You're Poor" is out to buy now. I'm rich, you're poor. Let's dissect that because we know online, obviously, it's the shtick about taking the mickey out of rich people and going,
mm,
I'm poor. But I want to know from you, my friend, what does being rich mean to you? What are you actually culturally, financially, emotionally, whatever it is, what are you actually rich in your life that makes your life go, I've got it good here?
I honestly have always said, and this is a good question because somebody asked me this as well, and they said like,
Damn, I thought that was a
what would
golden question.
No, no, it's a brilliant question. They've never asked me that, and I love it because I think "I'm rich, you're poor" it did intend to be like value and money, but I feel like you can be rich in so much more than just money. So I love that question because I think there's so much depth to it. For me, it's being content and being happy within what I already have, and that's why I love what the Pavo Gang represents, because they are rich in what they already have. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you have is you have in abundance, because some people don't even have that. And I know for a lot of people, it's like, well, I don't have much, but look at what you do have and think, well, my God, I have that. There are people out there that don't even have that as well. When you think you don't have a lot, do you remember there's somebody out there with a lot less? And that's why I'm rich or poor, because everybody can be that. I mean, everyone is rich in something. For me, I'm rich in the amount of love and support I have from people. I'd say that. I think it's incredible. I think just the Povo Gang alone, not outside of my family, my friends, and people that I know and people that I sort of worked with or grew up with, the Povo Gang themselves are just so incredibly loyal and passionate. It's heartwarming because they are just always there and always commenting, sharing, liking, buying the book. You know what I mean? So I think that loyalty is I'm rich in, and abundant in.
But that Shabazz who was bullied at school in Blackburn, that young little boy versus the content creator 30-year-old who we have now, the one who is getting the followers, the one who is getting the likes, the one who's getting that validation, is that making up for that younger version of you? Or is this a brand new version? Because remember, the people who are watching you now don't necessarily know who you were at school. It'll only be a few months.
Yeah.
So this is a brand new thing. So
Mm.
do you still get validated by that, of having that love and that abundance of it?
I think I've gone past it. I think had this come about maybe 10 years ago, between 20 to 25, I was really curing that bullied child. I think I was really looking for validation, or like softening the blow of like the bullying in high school. So I think what post 25, I think I'm in such a place, I'm in a different place, which is why it's so crazy, because I started making videos really online around 2013, which would have been, you know, around that age. I would have been around that age where I was looking for validation. And I'm telling you, I just wasn't ready for it. So a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, but you're doing it, but you've been doing it years, and it's, you know, it's finally paid off." And I'm like, yes, because I was ready for it now. I was at that point where I spent so many years trying to be someone else, or be a version that I thought was acceptable, until I just realized, just be yourself. And then once I got to a comfortable level of be yourself, and people love you for you, my God, did it all just start kicking off. So it's it's crazy, because that's why my mind, I got to a point where I was so content and so happy and so secure, and then all of a sudden videos started popping off. I started gaining all this popularity, and everything just came from it. So I always say to people, just be yourself. There's no reason, because there are so many people out there that will relate to it.
I completely agree with you. Well, I want to start quoting some quotes from your book. I'm working in mental health themes. So
Yeah.
let's start with page 19 and page 20. I'm going to link two different ideas together. So, page 19, you say, I wouldn't say no to a bit more money. I'd like to be able to buy a few more things. I'd like to feel more attractive. I definitely do not think that being pretty or buying things is inherently bad. I just think showing off about it is. And I think the way people show off on the internet are completely hilarious. That's
Hmm.
one part. Second part is on
Hmm.
page 20, where you say, when we go on social media, we forget that we're watching people using a film crew to broadcast their fictional life. They're just making really bad reality shows. When you see them that way, they're far more entertaining and far less toxic. The Real Housewives of TikTok. Beautiful quote. I like that. The Real Housewives of TikTok.
Yes.
Bringing those two together, we've spoken about the
Yeah.
internal side of you, the validation. What about the external version of you? When you look at yourself in the mirror, what are you seeing back at you? When you look at the camera lens, what are you seeing back at you? And when you've uploaded that video, again, what do you see coming back at you?
Do you know, I used to not like what I saw. So it was awful. I think I used to really criticize like how I looked and everything about myself. But I think what really helped, and this is amazing, is that I started creating videos from my bed. There was no production. There was no, you know, I used to set up a full like camera stuff. I used to do YouTube, so I used to set it all up. I'd even like put makeup on, stage makeup on, to make sure that, you know, the lights don't wash me out, or, you know, I don't have too dark eye bags or whatever. Whereas now, I just wake up and I turn the camera on. So I watch it back, and sometimes I'm like, my God, could you have just brushed your hair? But I love that nobody cares. Like I've built a brand that no one cares about what I look like. So even when I am looking like my best, or going out there and like wearing a nice outfit or whatever, it's just for me. It's not to gain, oh my God, of someone, or like make myself feel better. It's just because I thought, oh, do you know what? This is a nice outfit. I'm gonna wash my face and actually get dressed up today. And that's so validating. So I think, whereas there are people that have built their whole platform, I have a friend who does that. I have a friend who like has full face of makeup every single time she records. And I just said to her, I said, you don't need to do that, love. I said, like, why just film without anything, and people will find it so much more endearing, because this world is, we're going towards those people now. We're moving away from the Love Islanders, you know, the Ekin-Sus and the, you know, the PLT deals and all that. And we're moving towards a world where we're just kind of like, I just want to see normal people. I just want to see myself reflected on a camera talking about real life stuff. And a lot of creators I've picked on. I'm not saying I created that genre, because it exists. I just mean a lot of people have started picking up on this fact that the only thing that I'm going to sell now is relatability. Um, and I think sometimes they take it to the extreme where they think they're being relatable, and you kind of watch. There's a couple of creators that I watch, and I'm just like, shut up, just shut up. Like, you're trying so hard to be relatable that you're just turning people off. You're turning me off, and I watched you for ages.
Well, that's what you call the eye level attacks. That in the shops, it's all about the eye lines. So you look at that shelf and you're straight in front of you, and you're like, "I'm look at what I get." I'm looking at what I'm seeing. Whereas what you're
Mhm.
talking about now is looking at what you're not seeing. And I think you're right.
Yeah.
When we look at not Love Island necessarily, but if we look at reality stars and the way that they're being brought up out of these shows of going, look at all these deals I get, look at all these freebies, look at all these ads and gifted things. And then you're now getting all these companies coming back to say, here's an email from said influencer who wants to come to our restaurant for free in return for a promo. And they go, well, hold a minute, who's going to pay the chef still? The chef still needs to make
Mm.
their money in that restaurant. And it's going, well, what does it mean to be an influencer? Now, what are we actually influencing versus is it just I'm a product placement? So I've got the pantry board behind me, and I love this that you said in your book. Well, the only reason we have these jars with nothing on them is because the Kardashians didn't know what was
Yeah.
product placement and what wasn't. And it made me think, well, we all try to be part of this social media world. We're all trying to have this sense of belonging. And yet we don't really know what that belonging is because there's always more. And, when we look at mental health,
Yeah.
people say, well, you don't really know yourself until you die. So when is it that you actually fully know yourself that you don't need to be quote unquote influenced anymore?
Mm. I think the difficulty that with influencing at the moment is that I blame the brands, because I do blame brands. It's a very quiet ship around here sometimes, because I turn down a lot of brand deals because they don't align with my values. And sometimes a lot of brands don't work with me because of that. So I will say, I don't do fast fashion. I'm not going to promote fast fashion, which means all these fast fashion brands that are doing big, massive influencer events, I don't get invited to. You don't see me at them because I don't talk about fast fashion. So it's they're churning out. The brands are creating these monsters, and then people are going into it thinking that it's all hunky dory. Most of these influencers that are on these brand paid trips are there for free. Sorry, ain't paying my bills. I've got, bills to pay. I've got mouths to feed, right? My own. But it's not. But then that's what brands are doing. Brands are sending, all these influencers, like Garnier sending all these influencers to like a ski trip, or sending them to like a Scotland mansion to do stuff. And although lovely, absolutely lovely for those influencers, they're doing it for free. And is that paying your bills? Or
Mm.
they're doing it for absolute pennies, and then more people are going, I want that world. I want to be part of that world, and then falling into the trap of going on reality shows to be famous. I've met so many people from reality shows that have gone, oh my God, my show's coming out, right? Oh my God, like I'm gonna get an agent, I'm gonna do that. And I'm like, but your show's coming out. Like, just let the show come out on TV. Like, why do we feel that we're going to become something because, well, we're on TV? And I think it's sad state of affairs. But also, like, you back to your point about the pantries and stuff. Like, that was one thing that I find is bizarre, because we think we have free will, and we think we are doing things because we want to, but really it's we all are following trends, and we're all that's why my book is so important right now, because people out there really do make more. I started taking mick out of ice cubes, and all of a sudden there's 100 more videos. People are doing it for parties. People are doing variations. I know. I went to someone's birthday party the other day, and they had those ice cubes, and I was like, wow. So everybody is being influenced by something constantly, whether they know it or not. That you can be as obvious as buy this brand new product, or you can just be as obvious as say something a million times, and eventually someone will want it. Um, so yeah.
I completely agree with you. And I know a lot of people who are in the public eye who do a TV show and they don't get the next TV job afterwards, or they go, the events around the country, how am I supposed to afford it? And it's that sense of, I need to feel validated now because I've done said TV show. What's next? What's next?
Mm,
Because now I'm famous. And it's a very hard game to be part of. And then they go, well, I need to get a normal job again. And they don't really know how to navigate that. But talking of navigation, my final
yeah.
question for you, my friend. Page 130, you talk about aeroplanes. You talk about how you start by, at the beginning of the plane, going through first class and working your way through to economy. So you get to see how the other half live. The other side is on 177. You say health is wealth, but by stealth, our health has become their wealth. So, final question for you, my friend. As we navigate your 30s, as we look to the next part, your book, I'm Rich, You're Poor, is out to buy now. You've got 4 million followers on Instagram and TikTok. Where do you want to see yourself by the age of 40?
Oh wow, what a brilliant question. I would say being able to wake up and not worry about bills and payments and money and stuff, and just be able to go, okay, and also just to be able to help as many people as possible with it. Like I've always said, you line my pockets, I will line everybody else around me. So just being able to have done something impactful on the world, whatever that impact is, that's what I'd love to be able to do. And I think maybe book 10 TV series, movie,
Mhm.
Hollywood movie. I don't know how you can turn this book into a movie, but I always have it. I'm like, what about a movie? I could have someone playing me in a movie, but I don't know. I don't think I have a really long-term plan. I think there's always my mind's always straight on like being able to make my family and friends and people around me financially secure, and also being able to make as much difference. I want to be that 70-year-old that sat there on the chair drinking a coffee, looking at the horizon and going, my God, the amount of people I helped and the amount of the world I changed through whatever medium. So a lot of people are like, you're a comedian. How are you going to change the world? I could do it. I could change the world just by making people laugh. We could change the law. We could do so much. So yeah, I think that's where I'd like to be, I think, hopefully.
Well, the publicating your book, I'm Rich, Your Port, is out to go by now. On TikTok and Instagram, obviously, ShabazSays is where you need to go and find him. He is absolutely fantastic, hilarious, and I absolutely love that chat with Shabazz Ali. It's part of the Security and Secure Book Club, where I look at the mental health themes of someone's book. There are authors, including Adele Parks, Jane Ballon, Amanda Prowse, Nicola Gill, who have all been on it before to say to you it's okay to not be okay. And if you love Security and Secure, on TikTok at Johnny Seifert 92, on Instagram at Johnny Seifert at Security and Secure Podcast. I haven't got as many followers as Shabazz. That's evident, but do go and have a look at all
It
the
will
previous episodes. And
change.
oh, will it now? In four
Yeah.
months, Shabazz went from 9,000 followers to over 1 million followers. Will it be happening for me as well? We'll have to find out. And if you love Security and Secure on YouTube, wherever you're listening, on Acast, iTunes, Spotify, give the thumbs up, leave the 5-star rating, leave a review, and click that subscribe button. Let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. I'm Johnny Seifert. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.